Sometimes in politics, you get a letter so beautifully savage, so perfectly crafted in its legal brutality that you have to stop and admire the artistry. Today, we're talking about what might be one of the most devastating legal response letters ever written in American politics. So here's what happened. Back in August, Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project was doing a live stream about the FBI raid on John Bolton's home. And in typical Rick Wilson fashion, he made a comment about how this news would distract MAGA supporters from thinking about the fact that Donald Trump is a corrupt and sick pedophile. Now, key word here, thinking about. Wilson wasn't stating this as fact. He was characterizing what Trump's own supporters were already discussing. But Trump's lawyer, Alejandro Brito from Brito PLLC in Coral Gables, Florida, saw an opportunity. He fired off a cease and desist letter demanding retractions and threatening defamation lawsuits. So let's first break down why Brito's letter was doomed from the start. First, they misquoted Wilson. The original letter claimed Wilson said Donald Trump is a corrupt and sick pedophile as a statement of fact. But what he actually said was MAGA supporters were thinking about the fact that Donald Trump is a corrupt and sick pedophile. That's not defamation, that's commentary on public opinion. Second, the elephant in the room, in 4 pages of legal threats, Brito somehow forgot to mention Jeffrey Epstein. You know, the convicted sex trafficker who called himself Trump's closest friend for 10 years. If you're going to threaten someone for suggesting people think Trump is a pedophile, maybe address the documented relationship with actual convicted pedophile. And third, the Gateway Pundit Coordination. The Lincoln Project caught something interesting. The day before Brito's letter was sent, the far-right website Gateway Pundit published an article making almost identical claims, almost like this was a coordinated media strategy rather than legitimate legal action. So now comes the fun part. The Lincoln Project's response, written on September 10th, yesterday, 2025, is a masterclass in legal warfare disguised as professional correspondence. They start by correcting the misquote, then deliver this absolute haymaker. Despite your client's predilection for changing numbers, quotations, and hurricane paths to suit his needs, you must understand that courts will not accept erroneous statements just because he says so. Hurricane Pass. They went there, but they're just getting started. The letter then systematically destroys Trump with a comprehensive list of documented behavior that would reasonably lead people to have concerns. Like we're talking about the jury finding Trump liable for sexual abuse, his comments about having no age limit for dating, telling 14-year-old girls in a couple years, I'll be dating you, the Miss TN, sorry, the Miss Teen USA dressing room incident, and then of course that creepy letter he sent Epstein with a hand-drawn outline of a naked woman. The list goes on for pages. But here's where it gets brutal. Like this Lincoln Project doesn't just defend, they go on offense. They demand trillions of dollars in damages because Trump has access to the world's largest bully pulpit. They're literally using his own presidential power against him. Then comes the deposition threat. Unlike his criminal trial, where he took the L on 34 felony accounts, rather than testify, Trump can't avoid testifying in civil court without either taking the Fifth Amendment, which creates, negative inference, or being declared too feeble and infirm to testify. But if he's too feeble to testify, well, maybe J.D. Vance should brush up on the 25th Amendment. So, but the absolute crown jewel of this letter is the settlement proposal. The Lincoln Project actually offered to remove the video if Trump met a few simple conditions. Release the Epstein files from all executive agencies, appear on the Lincoln Project podcast for an hour to explain why people should not think he's a pedophile, and of course, accept a taco delivery at any location of his choosing. They even suggest a bowl instead of a shell because we heard it's more heart healthy. This trolling elevated to an art form, but Wilson had an even more provocative idea.
You know who else we might depose on while we're at it? Just for fun, just because we're gonna if you do this thing, we might depose Melania too. How'd you like that one, Chief?
And this isn't just legal theater, it represents something bigger. Like the Lincoln Project essentially called Trump's bluff and exposed the weakness of his legal strategy. Think about it. Trump's team initiated this fight over comments about what his own supporters believe. then completely avoided addressing the factual basis for those beliefs. They threaten litigation, but their own letter reads like they don't actually want to go to court. And why would they? Discovery in a defamation case would be a nightmare for Trump. Depositions from Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, document requests about Trump's relationship with Epstein. The Lincoln Project essentially said, you want to fight this? Let's really fight about this. Bring receipts, just like we do on the show here. And in the end, guys, like this exchange reveals something important about political warfare in the Trump era. Sometimes the best defense is a devastating offense. Trump does it all the time. Like we just got to do what he's doing. Sometimes the appropriate response to a legal threat is to double down and demand the other side prove their case in open court. So basically, we need them to take a page out of Trump's book. So the Lincoln Project took what, should have been a routine cease and desist letter and turned it into a comprehensive indictment of Trump's documented behavior, wrapped in the kind of legal trolling that would make Twitter proud. So will Trump's team actually file the suit? Probably not, no. Because that would mean discovery. That would mean depositions. That would mean Epstein files become part of the public record. And as Wilson put it,
We would be happy to depose you at great, 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 great length about every aspect of it. We would be happy to put you under the hot lights because Jeffrey Epstein had victims that number in the hundreds, maybe thousands. We don't know yet.
somehow, I don't think that's a conversation Donald Trump wants to have under oath, but Wilson's ultimate challenge was unambiguous. Oh, and by the way, they're still waiting for an answer about that taco order. So let's sum up, guys. This is Lies of the Orange Era. It's shocking to me that so many outlets, law firms, universities are willing to capitulate to this nonsense. Just fight back, guys. Just get in, just have conversations with all the universities. Say, we ain't going to put up with this. We got billions of dollars. Do what the Lincoln Project's going to do. If you lose some money, who cares? Make the point that you were supposed to make. So subscribe, like, I want to keep exposing what's going on. Like, I'm anti-authoritarian. I don't believe that there should be any kings in America, and that is why we do this show.